here to introduce my dear old friend Tim Curry, and it's pretty obvious that he's very loved, and with very good reason, yeah? I just want to say this because this is all about Tim, but I want you to know something, and you already know this. Tim's body of work, from the very first thing he has ever done till now, is so iconic and so indelible. He has seduced us, scared us, thrilled us, delighted us, and continues to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, because you sure love him, and I sure love him, and that's why we're here, Tim Curry. Hardly think so. So guys, we can make it about a lot of goofy things, but I think you're here to show Tim love and to find out things that you really will find out and talk to Tim. So why don't we just start the conversation? Is there a mic set up for questions?
Yes, there is a mic set up for questions.
Can people line up?
Those who want to ask
in Ottawa. And one of the first things I noticed, like I like noticing weird things in movies, or looking for things that, I don't know if they're mistakes or not, but one thing that's sort of been driving me nuts, and it gets me every time I watch the movie, and I just gotta ask you, when you're chasing Rocky around your sort of down plays, you're running around the back and down the rounds. At one point, it looks like your head just bounces off the wall really hard, and it just drives me nuts every time I see it. I just feel it.
I don't think so.
No, never noticed that. Never noticed that.
The magic of cinema.
It looks really painful, like it looks really scary.
Well, he's here, so it didn't do much harm.
No.
Thanks. Who's the next question?
1 second.
Hello.
It's amazing to see so many of you.
Hello, Tim. All the films you've done, which has been your favorite?
Of all what?
Your films.
Well, I guess one of them is Clue. I also love Muppet Treasure Island.
I have a question about Clue.
Yeah.
Because you're a stage actor, and that's where you started, that film was so theatrical. Did you guys have to back off performance-wise or energetically for film, or did they just let you do the brilliance that we saw?
No, we actually rehearsed it quite a lot, which is rare for movies. And of course, you know, my part was about as big as the Bible.
It was epic. It was epic. Do you feel that performance-wise from the theater to film, that you had to back off somewhat, or was what we saw just a play that was shot?
Well, the writer, Jonathan Lynn, I had known for a very long time because we were at high school together. And he was a rather remarkable actor, and he wrote it and directed it.
It was utterly brilliant.
And he wanted to rehearse because he'd never directed a film before.
So how long was rehearsal?
About 2 weeks.
Wow, that's intense.
It was intense.
And brilliantly choreographed. I mean, you were mesmerizing and electric, and it was the Bible.
Well, I loved the cast.
Hilarious, right?
Eileen Brennan has been one of the funniest people in the world.
I think there's an iconic line from Madeline Kahn about flames.
Yeah.
Flames!
Yeah, she improvised that.
Now, when she improvised it, a Because sometimes I look at that and I think, did everybody lose it?
Yes.
Pretty brilliant.
They had to scrape us off the floor. And then it was a difficult editing job.
It was brilliant.
Flames.
She was bad. Bad as a mark.
She was.
What's the next question? Anyone?
Hello, Mr. Tim Curry. My name's David, and I just want to say it is an honor and a privilege to see you here today. I am a colossal fan of your film, animation, and theater. I was very lucky to see Spamalot.
Thank you.
In its first week. Anyway, because I'm such a lover of animation and voice work and everything, do you have a favorite animated film or television, or what's your favorite animated job?
My favorite animated job was The Wild Thornberrys. Directed by Charlie Adler.
I want to add something to that. I was wondering how to describe what it's like to work with Tim. As an actor, it's beyond thrilling. As a director, I can liken it to two things. Not that I've done either. One is drive a Rolls Royce, and two is play a Stradivarius. And that's what it's like directing Tim. And that's what that series was like. And
It's cool. We first met doing a cartoon of Paddington Bear. Charlie was Paddington Bear. I forget who I was.
with the evil Mr. Brown.
That's right.
And you're always trying to off me.
I was some kind of very nasty neighbor.
That's right, that's what I meant, so 30 years ago, right?
So it was one of the first cartoons I ever did.
I want to ask you something about bringing animation. You bring so much to it as an actor. Is it as satisfying to you to do animation?
I love it.
You were made for it. Well, you're made for everything. I mean, what haven't you done? But animation, I always wondered, it always seemed to me that you were having a great time.
I've never been a contortionist.
The day is young.
But one day I hope to be.
We have another question. How do you follow that?
Yeah, hi, sorry. My name is Malcolm. It's nice to see you, Mr. Tim Curry, and thank you for coming to Toronto, and I just want to also say, you are a legend. The question that's on my mind a lot is, I was wondering, what are your biggest influences in acting? Like, who inspires you most?
Alec Guinness.
Did you work with him?
I never did. I met him, but I admired him because he disappeared so completely into whatever part he was doing.
It was astonishing.
He used to do a thing where he would get somebody to watch him walking down the street to see if he got recognized.
What was the goal, to see if he was so
The
disguised?
goal to see was to get away with not being recognized.
Right, because he was so
Because he could disappear so completely. I love that idea.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, I don't exactly get.
Well, you get recognized,
I
but
get
you do disappear.
recognized,
But
but
you do disappear.
I do disappear. I try to.
You succeed at it. There's it. Was anybody more scared in their lives? We worked the next day after I think I saw the first part. He came to work and I said, I want to talk to you. It's true. He terrified me. I didn't recognize him. Terrified me.
That performance is about to be challenged.
There's only one original, baby. And who's got another question?
Hey Tim, so before every Halloween showing in Toronto, we always play your number from the movie The Worst Witch, where you say anything can happen on Halloween.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you had any memories about your experience with that film and
I do.
doing that performance.
It was a very cold night, and Diana Rigg, who I worship, who played the headmistress of the witches' school, had a bottle of sloe gin under her habit, which made us very much warmer, but not very concentrated. In fact, so unconcentrated and so grimly unprofessional that they decided to reshoot it in London in the studio. I was stunned. I thought that I'd brought it off beautifully. But hooray for gin.
Is there another question? Thank you, man. That was a great question. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Tim Curry. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I want to thank you so much from me on behalf of everyone for coming today. I wanted to know if you have any memorable interactions with fans that perhaps come to your mind. If there's any experiences that perhaps you can think of that might stand out from the rest.
One or two death threats, which were... I was actually stalked for quite a long time by a 250-pound transvestite who was on parole for the murder of his lover. So that's probably the most interesting. Not one that I care to repeat.
Hi Tim, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. Like myself, Clue is probably my favorite movie by you. It is a movie that my friend and I watch over and over and over again. Shake, Rattle, and Roll is our jam. I just want to know, what advice would you give to young performers and actors?
Show up. Well, I was taught rather firmly that anything you want to know about a character should be somewhere in the text. So I read whatever I'm doing very, very thoroughly several times until I get an idea of what I want to do. And then I show up.
It sounds simple and simplistic, but it's not. That's right. Show up and be prepared. Know what you're doing.
Yes.
Know what you're doing. Yeah. Thanks.
Hello, Mr. Tim Curry.
Hey.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you here in Toronto. Thank you for showing up. I think everyone thinks that.
The pleasure is mine.
My main introduction to you was actually through video games, and through the video games you've done, you sort of have a wide range from Arl Rendon Howe was one of the first roles I saw you in Dragon Age Origins, and he's fairly subdued. And then you have the complete opposite with Cherdenko from Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, who's completely over the top. I mean, he wants to escape to space, the only place untouched by capitalist hands. I was wondering, what do you prefer? Like, do you prefer those crazy, over-the-top characters, or do you prefer the more subdued roles?
I actually want to play a bank clerk. But nobody's given me the opportunity.
Hello, Mr. Tim Curry. I loved all your films for the longest time. I just wanted to ask you a question. My favorite film, but I think it's one of everyone's favorites, is Home Alone 2. So my question is, when you were filming that movie, how much fun did you actually have with Macaulay Culkin on set?
Well, Macaulay was a very nice kid. I liked him a lot. And we filmed it at the Plaza Hotel in New York, and we all had rooms there. And he watched cartoons all night. So he wasn't always in the best shape. But the way that it was shot, because what he actually did was sort of gabble his lines. And Chris Columbus, who directed it, used to get behind the camera and play the other parts.
To coach the performance?
To coach the performance, yeah.
Wow. You're extreme humor.
I actually liked him a lot, Macaulay. I have a lot of sympathy for child actors. Most of them don't know what the hell they're doing there.
That's true. It's true, and they suffer for it down the road.
Yes, they do. There was a point in it, at the beginning of the movie, this little kid called Georgie is sailing his paper boat down the gutter, and he goes down the drain, and Pennywise is in the drain and grabs it. And Georgie puts his hand down the drain, and I grab it. And I suggest that he joins me and say, down here, float. And he stopped and said, Tim. Yeah? You're scary. Gee, I'm so sorry, but that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And you're supposed to be scared. So we're quids in already.
You think this child has been in therapy for years since?
I hope so. I think you need it quite a lot.
Yes, your answer, kiddo.
Well, funny you should mention child actors. I just wanted to say, I grew up watching you before I even knew you, and you bring such a uniqueness and such an energy to every single role you do. And as an actor, it's influenced me to put that much energy into everything I do, and I wanted to thank you for inspiring me and countless other actors out there.
That's terrific. Thank you. I couldn't be all flattered.
You are his Alec Guinness.
I wanted to ask, you've done all forms of media, and especially you've been prominent in movies and the theater. And I wanted to ask, in your opinion, what's the biggest transition you have to make between movie and theater, maybe particularly for Rocky Horror, since you have to do both?
The play was quite different from the movie. It was much more, it was very dynamic. And it was staged in London in an abandoned cinema, which is really where Frankenfurter lives, rather appropriately. And then it became a huge hit. And Princess Margaret came to see it. A huge crowd of people were out on the sidewalk waiting for her to come out. And she was a bit scared, I think. And somebody asked her what she thought, and she said, "Oh, frightfully funny. Very funny. I truly enjoyed it."
Did you have to make huge adjustments in performance from stage to film?
Sometimes, depending on the scene, really. It was my first film, so it was all new to me.
What was the newness of it?
Well, the newness of it was really exactly that. Getting a sense of where the camera is and what size you are on the screen.
So did you find you had to modulate a lot differently?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, really. But I sort of deliberately tried to keep it quite hot on an energy level, and try to burst through the screen.
Who here thinks he burst through the screen? Forget you're in there.
Who do you come as?
Pardon?
Who are you? Who do you come as?
I'm, Rorschach from Watchmen. My parents raised me on Rocky Horror, how most kids are raised on the Bible. So for as long as I can remember, you've really inspired me, and I wanted to go to college so I could study acting, and part of the reason I got in was I wrote an essay on how much you inspired me, and the coordinator said it really moved him. And so I just wanted to ask, how did you get started in the industry?
I talked my way into a musical called Hair. I didn't have an equity card or any experience at all. But they were sort of hiring hippies, you know? And I qualified.
You know, there's a great documentary about this. Did you see it? They have your...
Yes.
How young.
Yes, I know.
How old were you?
I was 22.
Wow. That was a big splash at 22, huh?
It was pretty amazing.
So
it was a wonderful show to do.
Did you do London and then you toured?
I did London, and then I was asked to do Paris because I spoke French. And I wanted to, but they wouldn't let me.
Because?
Because I was too useful in London.
It's a nice compliment.
Well, because so many of the kids in the show would just get doped up to the gills and not show up. That somebody had to go on for them, and I was useful in that respect. I played practically every part except for the black girl who sings white. I really wanted to play her.
And you would have killed it too.
Actually, one story about Home Alone 2. The plaza at the time, and I think now, was owned by Donald Trump. And there had been great scandals about him and the girlfriend called Marla Maples. And they did a walk through a scene at one point. And Donald Trump said that he wanted Chris Columbus to meet Marla. I want you to meet Marla. She's a very, very talented actress. And he continued by saying, of course she's a pain in the ass. But then they all are, aren't they?
She must have been a great actress because she pretended to love him for a few years.
She got a major divorce settlement too.
That's acting. Thank you. Who's next?
Charlie, Tim, how are you?
Swell, thank you.
I've been a tremendous fan of your work, Tim. Everything from obviously the mainstream to even the obscure things. I adored your role in Brutal Legend, especially.
Thank you. That was fun.
I have two questions, actually. The first one, with the new movie coming out, I was actually wondering if you have any thoughts or how you feel about the new actor playing Pennywise.
Well, I like Alexander Skarsgård very much. I think he's very clever. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of clown face he puts on. Because it's not an obvious clown face at all. I've seen the trailer and you can't really see him at all. So I'm fascinated to see it. But he's very good.
I think now with special effects, I think it's going to be a very different experience. There's so much more that they're doing technically that, who knows. But sometimes performances get lost in the technical stuff.
I hope they make the end better because on TV, I turned into a sort of giant spider. And it was not very scary. Or convincing.
I'm definitely with you on that one. And my second question is actually, this was obviously from a while ago, but back when the Batman animated series was being made, I heard there was very minimal news about your involvement, that you were originally cast as the Joker before Mark Hamill took over.
I played the Joker for a while, but I had bronchitis and they fired me. And hired Mark Hamill.
Life. Showbiz. Can you imagine not waiting for him for a little antibiotics? Huh?
Oh, you guys.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Michelle. Hi there. I'm so excited to meet you, sir. I grew up with you.
Well, you're adorable.
Oh, thank you. I guess my question more relates to my favorite movie of all time. It's a little ditty from the 80s called Legend. Scott directed it, and my question more is along the lines of the sitting for the costume and the makeup and everything. I understood that you were in the seat for like 6 hours or something like that to have the big horns put on. It's a long time ago, I know. I'm still like...
Longer. The first time was 10.5 hours.
What? That's insane. So I guess...
Then they just ripped it off.
Oh
It was all glued to my skin.
Oh no. So I guess I'm kind of asking, what was worse, sitting in for that costume, makeup, or Pennywise when you had to sit for that too?
Legend, definitely.
Absolutely, I agree. Did you enjoy that?
Legend, they used to just tear a hole in the top of my head and pour in a bottle of solvent. And then peel it down, and they would do that while I was sitting in a hot bath. So it could have been worse, I guess.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to meet you, sir.
Well, you too, ma'am, thank you.
Showbiz is very glamorous, isn't it?
Hi. I just wanted to say thank you because of your role in Rocky Horror. It's kind of like what connects most of my family. It's like the one thing we all like. So I had two questions. The first one was, what do you think it is about Rocky Horror that makes it still popular now when it was filmed quite a while ago? Because like a lot of people are here for it.
Well, like any good movie, I think it has a good story. It's got an exciting narrative. And some pretty accomplished performers, most of whom had never made a film before, and some of whom are here, I think. I hope, because it's about the only time I see them at conventions.
Should we see if they're here in the audience? Who's here from Rocky Horror?
Nell might be here, or Pat. They're upstairs giving autographs. Oh, gee. Well, perhaps I'll get to see them and maybe take them out to dinner or something.
I'll pass the word on.
My second question was, I'm going to see Rocky Horror live in Toronto for the first time in like a few weeks, so what would be your advice for someone going to see it for the first time?
Wear a raincoat. And take a bodyguard.
Hi, I'm Tim. Don't you remember this balloon?
Yeah, I kind of do.
I think I'm talking about it. And yes, Pennywise, one of the first things in the film he did was hand a yellow balloon to Georgie. But actually, this balloon is from a 2000 PC game called Sacrifice that the two of you were both cast in. Tim was cast as an arrogant god named Stratos. But the funny thing is, I can't help but think that Stratos was partly inspired by your work on it because he has a yellow balloon for a head and this smiley face on it. Did the design team ever actually come out and say that Stratos was inspired by your work on it?
Yeah, they didn't.
Oh, that's too bad. Just too much. My second question is...
I liked being a balloon.
My second question is, how well did you get to know the late Jonathan Brandis when you were working with him on the set of It?
Not very well, because, there's a very strange thing about working with child actors. You either develop a relationship or you don't. And sometimes you don't want to. And you back right off.
Here's your answer.
He was really good, though.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
It's awesome to meet you. My name is Lindsay. Very big honor.
Lindsay?
Lindsay, yes. I've always wanted to ask you, it's a bit of an odd question. Your diction and your voice is so unique and so mastered. Is it something that you've cultivated over the years, or is it just something that you were born with?
Well, I think diction is terribly important. Because, you know, when you're acting, you have the sort of privilege of making somebody's words come alive. And that's a big responsibility. And I love the English language, and I try to make it sound good, clear.
Tim, do you think the theater taught you that or pushed you forward with that?
The theater, very much, yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, training.
Yeah, I didn't train much, actually.
Trained on the job.
I just showed up.
Well, hello. I'm Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Very nice to meet you.
Too, sir.
Thank you. I love all of your acting roles, especially because you're able to just become whatever character you play. And so much so that I don't know how much of the character is you and how much is the character. Is there any that you've really just transformed, become a completely different person for? Is there any specific role you can think of that you really transformed?
Legend, certainly.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And the other thing was, is there any specific quote or line from your body of work that is your favorite or most memorable to you?
Not really. I just move on. You know, I don't have memorabilia or anything like that. I just look forward to the next thing because I hope it's going to make me better at it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Megan. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I've been a fan of yours for both your singing career and your acting career. And
thank you.
You have a phenomenal singing voice. It just gives me goosebumps every time. I was actually just wondering, in terms of your singing career, who was your biggest influence for giving you kind of your, I guess, motivation to sing, or giving you kind of
My favorite singer, hands down, is Billie Holiday. Oh, and incidentally, The Last Gentleman, the memorable line, I think one of my most memorable lines was one I improvised on Muppet Treasure Island, in which, as Long John Silver, I was supposed to have had an affair with Miss Piggy. And I had a confrontation with her on this island. And she made some kind of lewd remark about my saber or my sword. About the length of my sword. Well, you know, Piggy, I've always said, once you've had pork, you never go back. But they cut it. Which really pissed me off.
Hello Tim, my name is Jessica. It's such an honor to get to talk to you today. My question for you
before I get to that, actually, I wanted to thank you for inspiring me to get into musical theater and inspiring my best friend Tanner, who's not here today, but I wanted to give him a shout out because when I showed him Rocky Horror for the first time, you were actually his inspiration to come out as a drag queen and go on stage and drag for the first time, and I'm sure the whole drag community wants to thank you for that.
You bet. Thank you. Do you tap dance?
Oh yes, I do. I actually got, when I was upstairs getting to meet Now today, I tap danced for her.
Oh, great.
Yes, I changed out of my heels though, they got quite painful.
She would love that.
She went nuts. It was so nice to get to meet them all today, and you as well. But my question for you is, all of your roles are so iconic, but the ones that really have stuck out to me are the villains, just because villains in general tend to be the most interesting and dimensional characters.
They're always the best written.
Yes, I find that too. And I was just wondering, as an actor, is there any particular, strategy into getting into a character as much as you do for a villainous role, whether it be like Pennywise or something like the serial killer you played in Criminal Minds?
No, I think, whatever it is, it's play acting. And I think you have to be able to just pull it on and pull it off, as the actress said to the bishop. You're welcome. Was that useful? Yeah, just tread lightly around cathedrals. You're very, very welcome.
Hi, Tim. I've been such a fan of you since my childhood, and I really didn't even know it back then. When it came to The Wild Thornberrys, Home Alone 2, and Muppet Treasure Island. But I wanted to know, based off of the upcoming It remake, if you had the ability to be certain that that it would be good, what other movie would you choose of yours would you choose to have remade?
Gee.
With other people playing it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you always hope that you've been definitive in some way. But, I honestly can't think of one.
That'd be Sophie's choice.
I mean, you were...
No, really, it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
I mean, you're
one that I
fantastic.
can't answer.
It's like, which Picasso do you want burned? Guys, we have about 10 minutes left, so maybe get as many questions in quickly.
Hi, Jim. My name's Taylor. It's great to meet you and to have you here in Toronto.
Thank you.
Probably my favorite film of yours is a bit of an unusual one, when you played Hexus in Fern Gully. I was wondering if you had any interesting stories or memories about when you did that movie.
Well, I was glad to do it because it was really about being eco-friendly. And I was a little unhappy because they drew the character based on my face. And it wasn't at all kind.
Thanks.
Hi there. My name's Amy, and I'm
everybody here has a great memory of you. Personally, I love you as a rooster in the old Annie movie. That's crowing and all that great show that we put on. Our question that we always like to ask is there any special mementos that you kept from, you know, It or Annie or all those classic movies, like anything that you like stole from set or whatever, that's just like a memory piece for you at all? And why or why not?
Nothing. I enjoyed Annie a lot because it was the best musical film I ever did. And it was directed by John Huston, who was extraordinary. And Carol Burnett, who I adore, and Bernadette Peters, who was something.
Watch those scenes
I remember us standing next to each other, posing for a poster for the movie, and the photographer said, "Do you have a best side?" to me, and I said, "No, I don't." At least I didn't think I do now, but I didn't then. And Bernadette said, "Well, I do."
Thank you so much, and again, it's such a pleasure to see you. I'm sure everybody's thrilled. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Tim. I'm Kirk from Cleveland. I voted for the other one. Just want to make that clear. Just a quick question. This is kind of a personal, I hope you don't mind. What advice do you give for always looking on the bright side of life? And don't talk about Trump, because we're all coping with that in the States. But life in general and personal pursuits.
I do try to look on the bright side of life, because I think it's dull and annoying to look on the dark side of life, and you're no fun to be with. And I think that's a personal responsibility of everyone.
It's very good to meet you. You mentioned the scene when It was in the drain. I was wondering, how did they film that scene? I mean, did they use like a prop set or a green screen? I mean, they didn't actually put you in a drain, did you? And also, how did you do the American accent for It?
Well, I've done American accents several times, mostly in cartoons. I did an American accent for Rooster. And when I met John Huston, I met him at the Sherry Netherlands Hotel in New York. And he said, "So what thoughts have you had about this character?" And I said, "Well, there's a stagehand. I was doing the play Amadeus at the time on Broadway, playing Wolfgang Mozart. And I said, there's a stagehand who's always kind of fidgeting." And he said, "Well, tell me what it was like." So I did it, and he said, yes, that's rather good." Then towards the end of the movie, Joe Layton, who was the choreographer, and was a great guy, offered me to play Charlie Chaplin in a musical. And I said, actually, I would love to, but I don't think I can, because I'm going to go back to London and join the National Theatre. And he said, "Are you out of your mind?" And he told John, he said, "Jim doesn't want to do the Chaplin musical. He's going to go back to England and join the National Theatre." And John said, "That's interesting. It's exactly what Charlie would have done, given the opportunity."
question, I think. You bet.
Well, it's an honor being the last person, I guess, for the day. My name is Jordan, and I know it's been said many times, but we all love you and your work.
Thank you, Jordan.
Whenever earlier you narrated it to us a little bit, it literally brought me to tears. Could I potentially hear you say a beat, beat Richie for me?
Say what?
Beat, beat Richie.
Beat, beat, Richie.
I think that's all we have time for, and I think we need to just, one more time, thank Tim and tell him how